Hi, everyone, and welcome to the End of Life Journey and Beyond, the Sands of Time. My name is Lisa Strahs-Lorenc, and I am a bereavement specialist. Hello, Susan. Always good to see you.
Good morning, Lisa. We had a week vacation there, so I want to welcome everybody and thank you for listening in. So today we're embarking on a journey a little bit different, but not really, but it's a journey of transformation. So it's a journey to create a new life and to move forward with purpose and passion. And Lisa and I are very big on this subject. So we believe that whether you're facing a major life transition or recovering from a loss, of course, or simply feeling stuck, that this video will be the first step towards some positive change. So, as an end of life doula and legacy advisor, I've witnessed countless individuals over the past 7 years that are trying to navigate life's most challenging transitions. And I'm here to tell you firsthand that it's never too late to write a new chapter in your own story. And today we're going to explore a little bit of that together on how you can embrace the change and rediscover your own potential and craft a meaningful future for yourself that aligns with your deepest values and your aspirations.
Interesting.
So, Lisa,
Mhm.
let's hear a little bit about what you think about this topic. I already know, but let's share it with our viewers.
Okay, well, first let's set the stage. Okay. No one can tell you what to do or how to live your life. And I want to be really clear about that. There are lots of people with advice, lots of friends and family who have all kinds of ideas about how you should live your life. Okay. But in the end, it's going to be you that makes decisions. The second thing I want to discuss is that time. Now, people start putting pressure on you because it's been 2 years, it's been 5 years, it's been 10 years, whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. You have your own time and your own life cycle, and nobody can put any kind of ideas on this. It's interesting how there's all kinds of stereotypes. Oh my goodness, a guy is dating and it's only been 4 months, okay, since he lost his wife. Or somebody's moving out of the house already. I can't believe you're selling the house so soon. Everybody has very different feelings about this and about how to create their new life. And so the pressures on you, you have to sort of put aside because you have to look and see where you're at. And I go back to people thinking about their wishes. This is not bereavement anymore. I want to be very clear. Bereavement is that period of time where you're really grieving, and it's very difficult for you to see anything else in your life. And grieving is very important because that process takes you through to the next stage. So this is the next stage of that, and it's moving forward, okay, or moving on. But some people are very upset when they hear moving on because they think that means you forgot you're lost, you forgot the person you love. That has nothing to do with this. This is about trying to create the life, the next life that you'd like. By the way, I call this your book of life. So your book has chapters, and I love looking at those chapters and seeing how you evolve and seeing where you are. And this is just another chapter in your life. It was not planned many times. It was nothing that we thought was going to happen to us. We had maybe a different plan, but now we are in this stage and in on this page, and now you move forward from here. Okay? So I want that to be the bottom line of what we discuss so that everybody's
That's a
very
great, great, great analogy, and I use it all the time, whether you know that or not, Lisa.
I
That
do.
is our story. It is our story, and call it 10 chapters, if you will.
Yes.
And we may have lived through five already, but there are still five there.
Yes. Yes.
So how are we going to implement that? I think it's important to identify first the areas that need to change. Would you
Yes.
agree?
Let's go back a little bit. I want to go
Okay.
back to people feeling unhappy. Now, this is not about being unstuck. We discussed unstuck one time, and it was really people who really need help. They are really in a stage where they're very unhappy. They don't know what to do with their lives. This is not that. Okay. This
Right.
is the time where you say, I think I need more in my life. I think I'd like to do something else in my life. And so it really is about desires and about how you see your happiness. And happiness evolves. You might not see that, you might see something else, but it might evolve to that. So let's just go very slowly into some people and what they look at and what they wish for. I want to start with travel because a lot of people used to travel with their families and with their spouses and all. And now they think, oh my goodness, there's no way that I could ever travel again. However, in their heads, they would love to figure out how that could happen, but it looks overwhelming to them. Overwhelming. So I just want to give you a really basic example of how do you ease into this. Okay. When I joined an activity group called Seven Heaven, they had a lot of different activities and things. And one of the things they had was a whitewater rafting trip in the Delaware Water Gap. And I thought, this might be fun. I didn't know anybody. And it was a bus trip, which to me was a trip. Okay. And I did it saying, you know what? The worst that could happen is I just don't have a good time and I'll have to do a trip like this again. But I did it. I had an amazing time and I met one of my best friends there. So it doesn't have to be, okay, now I have to go to Europe or now I have to cross country or something. It can be ways of getting into it because now you're traveling by yourself, or you choose to maybe travel with a friend or maybe a relative, but you're not traveling the way you thought you would travel. Okay. So easing into that quote travel. And let me just point out that on Facebook, I cannot tell you how many travel clubs there are. There's women, single women in travel. There's women travel tribe. There's all kinds of groups. And you can join with other people, or you can join on your own. But again, if your desire is to do something, but you're overwhelmed by what that looks like, there are little things that you could do to get there. Okay. So travel is a good example because a lot of people say, I wish I could travel. I don't think I could do this on my own, that kind of thing. So that's just an example of somebody wanting to do something, trying to figure out how to do it. Okay. Again, easing into the things that you wish for, that you want to do. Your happiness is so individual. What one person is so excited about is not what another person dreams of. Okay. So, a person who says, I really want to go down to Florida and take a vacation is not what somebody else says. No, I don't want to go to Florida. This is not, oh, I don't even want to take a vacation there. So, all the determinants of creating what you believe to be the next stage, part of it is being open. And being open and being vulnerable is very difficult. It is hard, just like going out by yourself, or going to a restaurant by yourself, or going to a movie by yourself. All those things are very overwhelming, but what they do is they empower you to feel confident in your own life, in your own skin. And at first it feels very strange and very uncomfortable. I want to tell you the first trip, because we're talking about trips. I want to tell you the first trip that I took. Okay. My husband died on January 30th, and I took a trip in March, middle of March. So that's only that's less than 2 months away. And I took it because it had to do with work. So it was a trip to Detroit, Michigan. Was a really amazing opportunity for me. And even though I said, I can't believe I'm going to travel alone, I did it alone. And it was exciting and it was wonderful and it felt liberating after I got over my, oh, I can't believe I'm doing this myself. And then I want to tell you something else that I did. I'm in Detroit, Michigan for this conference and this training and all. And we always wanted to go to Motown. Motown is my thing. I love Motown music. And don't you think, Motown is right down the road. However, this was during the quarterfinals, so it must have been more towards the end of March. And I'm trying to find a way of getting from where I am at the Ford Motor Company Fund over to Motown. I'm making phone calls, I'm asking people, I'm trying to figure it out. And I finally get one cab driver that says to me, I will take you. However, I'm going to have to stay there because you'll never get a cab to the airport after that. And he said to me, $200 to this Motown, to this thing, and me waiting there for you. And I said, you know what? How many times am I going to be in Detroit? How many times am I have the opportunity to visit Motown like this? So I said yes. And I cannot tell you what an amazing experience it was. This is how amazing and how incredible it was. I went in, I must have spent 2 hours. This guy waited in the cab the whole time. I came out, and this is what happened. I sat down on the stoop, and I get emotional about it now because I said, I can't believe I did this all by myself. And it's something that I really wanted to do. And I did it, and I'm proud of me. And it was very emotional, very emotional. It was my first trip. And I'm so proud that I did it. And I'm glad that I did. I have no regrets that I did it, but I forced myself. I mean, it was out of my comfort zone. I forced myself to do it. So, creating your new life, there's pieces, there's all kinds of different pieces to it. But as I said, travel might be one example for some people. I will stop for a minute, take a breath, and see if there's anything you want to add to that part before I go into other parts.
Take a breath. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a Wi-Fi problem, but you haven't gotten stuck yet. But if
Okay.
you do, I'll continue on the conversation until it starts again. But so far, sounding good. So thank you so much for sharing that. It is an emotional thing. And when you started talking about the travel piece, that is something that I'm working on myself at the moment. So I thought to myself, oh, this is a therapy session for me today, Lisa. You'll be able to teach me a few things because that's exactly right. Now, I've taken one trip by myself when I was 20 years old, 19 years old, maybe. And I went over to London from Long Island here, and it wasn't intentional. I was going with a girlfriend, and she pulled out at the last minute. I don't have the money. I can't do it. And I was all ready. And I said, well, I'm going. And it was the scariest, but the most exciting thing that I ever did at the same time. And I talk about it to this day. I don't think I've ever done anything as brave. And I was very strategic in the steps. The first night I stayed in the most expensive hotel in London because I thought if it's expensive, it'll be nice and it'll be safe,
Right.
right? Then I woke up the next day and I found out that there was bed and breakfast row. And I walked up and down and looked for the cutest little house with the prettiest little door and flowers. And I met grandparents that only held 5 people each night, and they promised to leave the light on every night till I came home. They don't go to sleep till you come back in, and they serve breakfast every day. And it was not $500 a night; it was $22 a night.
Oh, wow.
And and so that was a really, really, I did that on my own, so little things little baby steps that we do, we could be very proud of ourselves.
So I have a similar story. So I
I
backpacked in
didn't dare
Europe.
venture out. I didn't dare venture out to go to a nightclub, which I wish I would have done to get some dancing and to see nightlife, but I was too afraid to do that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay. I flew across the oceans,
yes,
and I
yes.
did steps that will take me to that give you a little bit of bravery.
So here's the thing, what we do when we're younger, like I backpacked in Europe, okay, and my girlfriend left me. She left me in Switzerland. She said she was done and wanted a break. So I was all by myself, and same thing. I mean, talk about bravery and all, but what we do when we're in our 20s or even our 30s and all,
Right.
very different from where we are now. We're more
That's right.
set, we're more conservative, we're, more worried. We,
Just
you know, anxious.
right.
Sure, sure. So we need to find the safety, and we need to find the things that will make us feel comfortable. And we can do that in very small stages of our lives and how we progress. As I said, travel is a really good example, but a home is another really good example.
Yeah,
So
let's get to a different
many,
topic besides
many of
traveling.
us
So
stay,
I want
yeah, many of us stay in our home because it's the memories that we have. And it's hard to leave that and feel like we have abandoned all those years and everything that's happened. I had three boys in my house. One belonged to me, two did not. And I was helping them. I was helping my son's friends. And so after my husband died, I felt a responsibility to them. However, as time went on, I realized they also need to be on their own, these boys. Okay. And I need to figure out where I am and what I want and what I need. So people hang on for a while. And again, I'm not talking, time, because I don't want to say, okay, after this amount, it's not that. It's your own clock that comes along. And by 6 years, I knew we really need to move. All of us. We all need to start our own lives. I need to figure out where I'm going, what I'm doing. The house is big. I don't need such a big house for myself. I don't need the responsibilities of so much around. Um, I wanted to lighten my load. That was my personal choice. And honestly, going into an apartment the way I did was so amazing. I had not lived alone since I lived in the dorms, okay, which is a long time ago. And I took $5,000 out and I said, I'm going to decorate this apartment, everything I can do myself. And I loved it. I had such a great time with my $5,000. I made this apartment really my own, and nobody else influenced me. Like, it was very liberating to say, I want this couch. I really like this bedroom set. I don't like the way this looks. I want this. So, I mean, it was really, really exciting. It was my apartment. And again, that was something that I felt and that I needed for me. Now, there are people who either can't move out of their homes or don't feel comfortable doing that, or affordability. I mean, you have to see what else is around and what else they can afford, and obviously other responsibilities. But sometimes that house, because it has all the old memories and all, will hold us back from moving what I'll say forward, from trying the new life and the new existence that we can have. So, and then by the way, one more thing. You got the people who move into their children's homes, okay? Or you've got children who move into their homes. And that's very tricky because you have to really know whether you still have the opportunity to have your own life. If your life, and again, I'm just saying because I've seen some people, if your life is so tied up with your family, and if you're happy that way, great. That's great, because I'm not in judgment of anything. But if that's you feel obligated, okay, or you feel that there's no other choice, and then you're stuck, because that's what happens, you're stuck, um, that wears on you. And it may make you unhappy, or it may not be the right situation for you. And now it's hard to say this doesn't work anymore. So you got to think long and hard about how this is, have important discussions about what this means to you and to your family members, and what the responsibilities are and obligations and whatever. Again, there are people who see this very differently. I'm only saying that when we look at our lives, we want to see what will make us happy. I know people who have loads of kids in their house and they're very happy with it and they still live their lives and all. And that's great. Again, we're not standing in judgment. What we're saying is that there are options for people. There are choices of how you want
Okay,
to.
let's move on. Let's get out of the living
Oh,
situation now
okay.
because I
Okay.
want to tap onto a subject that's pretty big and that you definitely know a lot about. So, how about moving forward and changing your life through different type of career choice, whether it be a career or volunteer opportunities or anything that gets you out into the world a little bit more. Let's talk about that.
As a career counselor, that is incredible. First of all, volunteer work, community service, all that gets us into a whole new head. We feel needed. We feel like we're doing something special, something purposeful, and it makes us feel really good. So that's that part. The career part, I mean, maybe we've been sitting with something and it's old now. And hey, there's other parts of us, there's other skills that we have that we haven't really looked at. And now that our situation has changed, hey, we can explore other things that we might be able to do. And that's very exciting, scary, but very exciting. because it opens new doors. It opens new opportunities. You meet new people. You see new things that you can do. You see yourself in a whole new light. What a wonderful way to grow, to grow. Yeah, I mean, I've just been working with somebody who had a major heart thing, and he came out. I mean, he was two weeks on a respirator, life support. I'm sorry, life support. And he came out with a very different perspective than before this had happened to him. I want to live more purposeful. I want to do something that gives back a little bit. So it's interesting. All our life changes do change the way we think and what we want to do with our lives. And it's so gratifying to figure that out and to be open to new opportunities.
And I want to talk a little bit about change and transformation. It doesn't mean you have to go and find a local therapist and make
That's
an
right.
appointment.
That's right.
Okay. But any type of coaching, even if it's from a positive friend or a group of friends. So any kind of maybe a networking group or support group or any kind of a group that surrounds you with like-minded people that will have a positive influence in your life is really huge. Now, I worked in flowers in the corporate world my entire life. Okay, so it wasn't until 7 years ago that I went into this other business that I now do legacy work and work in end of life. And I never knew that there was a whole world out there of networking. And that's how we met, Lisa, in one of these groups. But I never knew about these groups. And they're all different. You know, some of them are geared towards one thing or the other. And you might not find a particular group that you like or that you have chemistry with, or the people you're not in sync with, or they're not as like-minded as you are. Maybe you're more geared towards the nonprofit world, or maybe you're geared towards younger or older people, or health field, or whatever it is. You can find those kind of support groups that hone in on what you, even if it's a chamber of commerce. If I know that if you go to the local Hoboken Chamber of Commerce, it's much different, and the people are there are much different than in Melville,
Yeah, they
who
are.
has a whole younger group there and a much larger group. So you have to find what's right for you, and maybe not. It won't be a networking group. Maybe it'll just be one of these support groups for women
Let's,
over 30 or men
yeah,
over 50, whatever it may be.
yeah, let's mention Meetup, okay? Because meetup.com is amazing. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different kinds of groups that do different things. So, talk about support and talk about, not being alone. There's so many things you could have in common. You like flowers, you like hiking, you like reading, you like board games. I mean, there's so many different things out there to just be more active and to be out in whatever ways and support. Obviously, find the friends who support you and encourage you, not the naysayers. Stay away from those people
That's
because
important. It's
it is
important. You need positivity in your life when you're looking to make those changes.
you do,
You
you
know,
do, you do.
yeah.
So we'll talk about dating now. Okay, the feared D word, dating.
We didn't talk about that yet.
We have not. We have not. So
Okay.
dating is a whole nother thing, stepping into it and being scared of it. I went 2 full years, really not interested at all. However, I did, when I joined that group, they had some speed dating. I hated it. I couldn't stand any of it. I didn't like anything online. I didn't like any, but everybody's different. Number one, there's no pressure on time frame or anything like that. There are people who meet people after 20 years. It's a matter of what you're looking for and what will make you happy. And there's nothing that says you have to do this or you have to be a couple or anything. That's not true anymore, not in our lifetime. So you have to figure out what you're comfortable with and ease into some things. This activity group had males and females, but I didn't join it to date. I joined it to just have fun and do some fun things. We went to a dude ranch. That was fabulous. We had a great time, my girlfriend and I. We did some of the other comedy clubs and some of the other activities and stuff, and that was great. Went on a few little trips. So that doesn't mean it's dating. However, there may come a time in your life where you say, I really don't want to live my life alone. And I am open to meeting somebody else. Um, whether that's just dating as an activity partner, because some people just have activity partners, or whether we're looking for a more permanent relationship, a romantic relationship, courting relationship. It's all different now at our stage in life. Very different. Most of us haven't dated since we were young, 20s, even 30s. And here we are I feel like we're in like a whole nother universe here. And so you don't have to rush in. You don't have to, oh, well, why aren't you meeting people? Why? Don't, all that noise, forget the noise. Just think about what makes you happy and where you'd like to be, and go step into these things very slowly, very confidently. And when you have some setbacks, it's okay. I wasn't comfortable with this. I'm not going to do this part again. I'm going to try maybe something else. But don't put so much pressure on yourself. Be very calm about it. Again, we all have different wishes. We all have different visions of what we'd like to see in our lives now. And we have to create that, because nobody's going to create that for us. Okay. There may be children who say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? But in the end, it's your decision about how you want to live your life. Your decision. And if you choose to live single, great, as long as you are happy in that life. Because many people feel differently about different, parts in their lives. So I really am most concerned about people finding their new life and trying to figure out what that looks like to them, and then figure out how to ease into certain parts of that life.
Right. And it may involve, thinking about some of your passions or your hobbies or things that
Yes.
you used to do when you were younger,
Yes.
that you really love, that you really enjoyed, and maybe take baby steps and start that way. You
Yes.
know, I don't know. Life is filled with so many possibilities, but you really need to wake up every day with that open heart
Mm.
and be excited about the little things that happen and say, "Ooh, what can happen next?
Yeah.
What's going to happen today? I want to see the magic in today." And you might not be ready. I mean, you might be in a job right now where you don't have a choice, and you're just sitting there and you're biding time, or that's okay. Slowly get that vision, start your brain, start doodling in a journal of things that you want to do.
Yes.
Make a list. Make a
Yes.
list of 20 things that you want to do in the next 10 years. And then
I
start scratching things off that list.
I like a vision board. I really do. I've done it when I was younger. I did it with some young children, some girls, and I made my own vision board as well. Honestly, just putting down a few pictures and things that were important to me were really liberating. It was really, and I keep it right next to me over here in my office, and I love looking at it because these are the things that I believe in and what I want. And it's wonderful to see that I have achieved most of the things that I was thinking about, talking about,
The changes
discussing.
and the
Yeah.
transformations. And it's
Yeah.
also very important, though, to acknowledge the small wins, right? And to celebrate the little milestones along the way. I think that that's important. Just like getting on a plane and going to London by myself. That
Hmm.
was
Huge.
scary, but yeah, so thrilling at the same time. So try things like that. Step out of your comfort zone. That's what we're trying to say.
Yes, yes. And in the end, give yourself credit, as you said, for everything that you're doing, and see how you're moving along. You can see it right in front of you. Things that you didn't do. Oh, I never realized I would be able to do that, or I never realized I'd be able to feel that way. I never realized I'd be where I am now. It happens. It's an evolution. It just happens, at different stages for different people. So don't compare, by the way, don't compare yourself to others. That is a problem. But try and figure out where you want to be. Don't be afraid of wishing and hoping and saying, I'd love to do this. How's that going to happen? I want to see brightness. I want to see a love of life again from people. Um, it's tough because our lives have changed, very different than what we thought it would be. And
But
so
it's
now,
very possible. One baby step at a time. It's very possible, more than you know.
that's right. That's
Well,
right.
I think we covered a lot today,
Yeah, we
Lisa.
did.
Was there any large key points that we missed? We talked about working and moving and relationships
And
and
travel.
and
Yeah.
travel, the big thing. We've covered a lot of different topics.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's let our viewers know if there's anything in particular that you'd like to hear about. Leave us a comment or send us an email here because we'd love to focus on that. We did something unexpectedly our last video. We had a veterinarian come in, and who thought that would be a huge topic, but we love our pets and so people go through tremendous anxiety and fear and grief when they lose their pets. But the video wasn't all about grief and loss. It was different ways to take care of your pets along the way. And it was amazing to both Lisa and I. It taught us so many things.
It
And that's
did.
what we try and do here on this channel. So I
Yep.
think we covered a lot. I want to thank you for today, Lisa. That was a lot of fun. And in an upcoming video, we'll be speaking with an attorney, but something a little bit different. We believe that when we grieve over things at the end of life, it's not only for a loss. We grieve many things in life, and it could be a change of career, it could be divorce, which is a real big one that Lisa and I both hear about all the time. So we're going to dive a little bit into that.
Yeah.
And it was a great talk today, Lisa. I look
Yes. Thank
forward
you.
to seeing you in a couple weeks. I won't see you next week. We'll see you
Yep.
in 2 weeks.
Sounds great. Take care.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you for everything.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.